Welcome back, everybody, for another deep dive
Yeah.
into the world of art.
Oh, I love this.
Today we're talking about
Yeah.
Post-Impressionism.
I love it already.
But it's not exactly what you might think.
Right. It's not just like Impressionism 2.0. It's not just the sequel. It's really like its own thing.
It's its own movement.
Yeah, a spin-off band that became even bigger than the original group.
Exactly. Like, think of all those bands that start as a little side project, and then they blow up and become huge.
Exactly.
And they completely change the genre.
Completely redefine it.
Yeah. And that's kind of what happened here with these guys.
Yeah, they took those Impressionist ideas about light and color, and then they said, okay, cool, but we're going to use this to express something way deeper.
Yeah, it wasn't just about, like, pretty pictures anymore.
No.
It was about emotions.
Yeah.
And symbolism and, like, digging into
The soul of the artist.
the artist's soul. Yeah.
Their inner world.
Their inner world, exactly. And that's what makes it so fascinating.
It really does.
Because we're talking about, like, big names here.
Oh, yeah, you know them. You love them.
Van Gogh, Cézanne, Gauguin.
But there's so much more to discover.
Yeah.
And that's what we're going to do today.
That's what we're here for.
We're not just going to, like, give you a list of names and dates.
No.
We're going to really try to understand what made these artists tick.
Right. Like, what was their deal?
Yeah. Why did they rebel against the status quo?
Why'd they break all the rules?
What were they trying to achieve?
And how did their experiments, like, literally change the course of art history?
I mean, they set the stage for everything that came after.
For real.
Okay, so let's set the scene a little bit.
Right.
Paris in the 1880s.
Ooh la la.
Impressionism is at its peak.
Right. Everyone's loving it.
Think Monet's water lilies, Degas dancers.
Capturing those fleeting moments.
Yes, the beauty of everyday life.
The play of light.
It's all about capturing that impression.
But then things start to shift a little bit.
Yeah, some artists are starting to feel like, okay, this is great, but something's missing.
Like they're craving something more.
Work depth, more meaning. Exactly. They want to go beyond that surface level.
And that's where the year 1886 becomes kind of a turning point.
Oh, yeah, big year.
It's the year of the last big Impressionist exhibition.
Yeah.
And it's almost like as that door closes, another one swings open.
It's like a passing of the torch.
A changing of the guard.
Yes. And from this point forward, we see these new, incredible, often rebellious figures.
Like emerging from the shadows.
Exactly. Each one pushing the boundaries of what art could be.
All right, so let's meet some of these rule breakers, shall we?
Let's do it.
I mean, we can't talk about Post-Impressionism without mentioning the legend himself.
The one, the only.
Vincent van Gogh.
I mean, come on.
Those swirling, vibrant colors.
That thick brushwork.
Those brushstrokes.
It's like you can feel the emotion pouring out of the canvas.
Right, it's not just a picture of a starry night or a sunflower.
No, it's like he's taking those impressionist techniques and amplifying them to express something so intensely personal.
Like his whole soul is in those paintings.
Exactly. You're not just seeing the world. You're seeing Van Gogh's world.
It's like he's giving us a window into his mind.
Exactly. And that's just the beginning.
Oh, there's so much more.
So much more.
Post-Impressionism is not a one-man show.
No way. There are so many other incredible artists to explore.
Yeah, like Georges Seurat.
Oh, Seurat, the master of pointillism.
Imagine like painting with tiny little dots.
Thousands upon thousands of tiny dots.
Ridiculously placed.
It seems almost obsessive, right?
How lazy.
But the results are just breathtaking.
He's like magic.
Like he's weaving light and color together.
Right, like a scientific approach to painting.
Using color theory to create these shimmering, almost vibrating effects.
And when you see a Sunday on Le Grand Jatte in person,
oh man,
it's like
stepping into a whole other world.
It's like being inside a painting.
Made entirely of light and color.
Exactly. And then there's Paul Cézanne.
Ah, Cézanne, the father figure of the movement.
Yeah, like the wise old sage.
The OG post-impressionist.
He was obsessed with simplifying nature into these basic geometric shapes.
Spheres, cones, cylinders.
It's like he's trying to find the building blocks of reality.
Like he was looking for the underlying structure of the world.
And in a way, he was kind of foreshadowing movements like Cubism.
Oh, yeah. Big-time Cézanne's influence on later artists is massive.
Huge. But before we get ahead of ourselves,
right,
we can't forget about Paul Gauguin.
Oh, Gauguin, the adventurer, the seeker.
He was on a whole different quest.
Yeah, he wasn't content with the Parisian art scene.
He wanted something more.
More authentic, more primal, more spiritual.
So he fled to Tahiti.
To the other side of the world.
Searching for a different kind of artistic truth.
And boy, did he find it.
His paintings from that period are like nothing else.
So vibrant,
Uh,
so exotic.
The colors, the shapes,
Like he discovered a whole new artistic language.
a whole new way of seeing the world.
And that's just scratching the surface.
I know.
We also have fascinating figures like Les Nobis.
Who were they?
They were a group of artists who were really into symbolism and mysticism.
Oh, sounds intriguing.
And then there's Henri Rousseau.
Okay, tell me about him.
He was this self-taught genius who painted these amazing dreamlike jungles.
Jungles in Paris.
Well, he never actually left Paris. All his inspiration came from books and botanical gardens.
Wow, that's incredible.
He created these fantastical worlds without ever setting foot in a real jungle.
So we've got Van Gogh, Seurat, Cézanne, Gauguin.
And a whole cast of other fascinating characters.
It's like a whole universe of Post-Impressionists.
Each one with their own unique vision.
But it's not just about the names, right?
No, it's about understanding the ideas that connect them.
The themes, the techniques, the underlying philosophies.
The things that make Post-Impressionism such a pivotal moment in art history.
And that's what we're going to dive into next.
Get ready to go deeper.
We're going beyond the surface.
To explore the heart and soul of Post-Impressionism.
Stay tuned, folks.
This is where it gets really good. Okay, so we've met some of the big names.
Yeah, we've got our all-star lineup.
Our Post-Impressionist dream team.
Now let's dig a little deeper into those common threads.
Yeah, the things that tie these artists together.
The ideas that set Post-Impressionism apart from what came before.
And one of the biggest shifts from Impressionism is this idea of symbolism and emotion.
Yeah, it's like they were saying, okay, we get it, light is cool, fleeting moments are beautiful.
But there's more to art than just capturing what we see on the surface.
Exactly. They wanted their paintings to say something deeper, to reveal something about themselves.
To express their inner world, their emotions, their ideas.
Yeah, and we see this so clearly in Van Gogh's work.
Oh, absolutely.
Like his sunflowers.
Those aren't just pretty flowers.
No, they're bursting with life, with energy, with Van Gogh's own passionate nature.
Like he's poured his whole soul into those sunflowers.
And then you have Gauguin, who literally travels to the other side of the world. Searching for a different kind of artistic truth, more spiritual connection.
He wanted to tap into something primal, something beyond the everyday.
And this ties into another key concept form, over fidelity.
Ah, yes, one of my favorite art terms.
What does that even mean?
It means that these artists weren't so concerned with replicating reality exactly as they saw it.
So it's not about painting a photographically accurate picture.
No, it's about using form-color line to express something deeper.
So like Cézanne breaking down a mountain into these basic geometric shapes.
Exactly. He's not just showing us what the mountain looks like. He's giving us his interpretation of its essence, its solidity.
And Gauguin using those bold colors and simplified shapes to evoke the spirit of Tahiti.
Rather than creating a photorealistic depiction.
Yeah, it's like they're using form as a tool to communicate something more profound.
And speaking of unexpected influences, did you know that Japanese art played a big role in Post-Impressionism?
Wait, really Japanese art?
Yeah, it might seem surprising, but in the late 19th century, there was this huge craze for all things Japanese in Europe.
They called it Japanism.
Exactly, and artists were really drawn to the bold colors, flattened perspectives, and decorative elements of Japanese woodblock prints.
Okay, I can totally see how that would appeal to someone like Van Gogh.
Oh, absolutely, his love of bold outlines and striking colors.
Yeah, it's all there.
But it wasn't just the visuals.
What else?
Japanese art also had this focus on capturing a feeling, a mood, rather than just replicating reality.
And that really resonated with the Post-Impressionists.
Big time. They were all about expressing their own subjective experience.
So it's like these artists were absorbing influences from all over the world.
Blending them with their own unique vision.
Which just shows you how art is always evolving.
Always being shaped by different cultures and ideas.
But here's the big question. Why should we care about Post-Impressionism today?
That's a great question, and the answer is simple.
Hit me with it.
Post-Impressionism wasn't just a pretty phase in art history, it was a revolution.
A full-blown art rebellion.
These artists broke the rules, pushed boundaries, and paved the way for everything that came next in modern art.
So you're saying these rebels are the reason we have Picasso, Matisse, and all the incredible art that followed?
Absolutely. Think about it. Fauvism with its wild, explosive use of color.
Expressionism with its raw emotion and distorted forms.
Even Cubism with its fragmented perspectives and abstract representations.
It's all connected.
They all owe a debt to the experiments of the Post-Impressionists.
Wow, that's mind-blowing. It's like Post-Impressionism planted the seeds for a whole new way of seeing and creating art.
Exactly, and that's why it's so relevant today.
It helps us understand where we are now.
It's like looking at the roots of a giant tree, seeing how those early branches gave rise to all these different directions and possibilities.
Now, if someone was just starting to explore art history, Post-Impressionism is a great place to start.
It's like the key that unlocks the door to understanding modern art.
And it's not just about understanding art history.
It's about learning to look at the world differently,
To see beyond the surface.
to appreciate those individual perspectives, those bold experiments that make art so powerful.
Oh, so we've talked about the big names, the themes, the techniques, the legacy.
Yeah, we've covered a lot of ground.
But I'm curious to hear about your personal favorites.
Oh, that's a tough one.
I know there are so many amazing works to choose from.
But I have to admit, I'm endlessly fascinated by Cézanne's Mont Sainte-Victoire series.
Oh yeah, those are incredible.
The way he paints that mountain, breaking it down into these planes of color, building it up almost like a sculpture, it's just masterful.
I know what you mean. It's like you can feel the weight and solidity of the mountain, even though he's using these simplified, almost abstract forms.
Exactly, and there's this tension between representation and abstraction that I find really compelling.
He's not just copying what he sees. He's giving us his own understanding of the mountain, its essence.
And for you, any Van Goghs that make your heart skip a beat?
Oh, definitely. Van Gogh's Starry Night is an obvious choice, but I also have a soft spot for his wheat field with crows.
Oh yeah, that one's powerful.
There's this incredible energy, the brush strokes, the swirling sky, the dark crows. It's both beautiful and unsettling at the same time.
Yeah, it really draws you in.
You know, I'm also really drawn to Gauguin's Tahitian paintings.
Oh, yes. Those are stunning.
They're so vibrant and exotic, and they have this incredible symbolic depth. It's like he's inviting us into a whole other world.
His escape to Tahiti was all about searching for something more authentic, more primal, more spiritual.
And you can feel that longing, that search for meaning in his work.
Absolutely, it's palpable.
So from the turbulent skies of Van Gogh to the sun-drenched landscapes of Gauguin, Post-Impressionism offers a feast for the eyes and a challenge for the mind.
It's a movement that continues to captivate and inspire us even over a century later.
And one of the things that makes it so fascinating is the way it shifts our understanding of the artist's role.
It's not just about observation anymore.
It's about the artist's individual perspective, their emotions, their unique way of seeing and interpreting the world.
It's like the artist is becoming more of a creator, a filter through which we experience reality.
Exactly, and that shift is really at the heart of modern art.
Post-Impressionism paved the way for artists to express themselves more freely, to explore their inner worlds, and to challenge our perceptions of what art can be.
So as we wrap up our deep dive into Post-Impressionism, I think the big takeaway is this. It's not just about pretty pictures.
It's about a revolution in art.
A shift in how we see the world.
And a legacy that continues to shape how we create and experience art today.
Yeah, it's like they would say, hey, look, art can be so much more than just like what we see on the surface.
It's about digging deeper, looking for those hidden meanings, those emotional undercurrents.
Yeah, and it's about the artist's unique vision, their way of interpreting the world.
Exactly, their own personal lens.
Which is so important, especially in a world that's constantly trying to put everything in a box and define it.
Right, like there's only one right way to see things.
But Post-Impressionism is like a big middle finger to that idea.
It's saying, hey, there are infinite ways to see the world.
As many ways as there are artists.
Exactly, and that's what makes exploring art so rewarding.
It's not just about passive viewing.
No, it's about active engagement.
It's about asking questions, challenging your assumptions, and maybe even discovering something new about yourself in the process.
It's like having a conversation with these artists.
Yeah, each one with their own unique voice and perspective.
And the more you listen, the more you learn.
So for our listeners who are just starting their art journey, what advice would you give them?
That's a good question.
How can they approach Post-Impressionism in a way that's both enjoyable and insightful?
Well, I'd say first and foremost, don't be afraid to let go of your preconceived notions about what art should be.
Yeah, like throw out the rule book.
Exactly. Allow yourself to be surprised, to be challenged, even to be a little confused at times.
Because that's part of the fun, right?
Absolutely. It's all about the journey.
And don't just look at the paintings.
Right. Do your research.
Read about the artists' lives, their struggles, their inspirations.
It adds a whole new layer of understanding and appreciation for their work.
It's like getting to know them as people.
Yeah, and then once you've done your homework, go see the art in person.
Yes, experience it firsthand.
Whether it's in a museum, a gallery, or even just exploring online collections.
There's nothing quite like standing in front of one of these masterpieces, and feeling his power
You
directly.
know the way the paint is applied, the textures, the colors,
It's a whole different experience.
and you might even discover some hidden gems along the way.
Yeah, some lesser-known artists who totally blow your mind.
That's the beauty of exploration. You never know what you're going to find.
So to wrap things up, I think it's safe to say that Post-Impressionism was more than just a bridge between Impressionism and modern art,
It was a revolution.
a seismic shift in the art world.
And it left behind a legacy that continues to shape how we create and experience art today.
So to our listeners, we encourage you to keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep those creative sparks flying.
And never forget the power of a good brushstroke.
Thanks for joining us for another deep dive into the world of art. We'll see you next time.